The future of Russia's T-14 Armata tank remains in question. Despite the Russians' claims of improved protection, firepower and maneuverability, it faces Russian manufacturing limitations, writes columnist and analyst Isaac Seitz in an article on 1945. The fate of the Armata will most likely be decided after the end of the war in Ukraine. If the T-14 enters service, it will become the most significant tank in Russian history. However, it is still unknown whether it will enter service in full, the publication says. According to the author, of all the weapon systems used by the Russian army, none is as controversial as the T-14 Armata. The Russians keep information about the tank a closely guarded secret, so it is difficult to say whether the new super tank lives up to its reputation. More specifically, it is clear that the T-14 Armata has suffered significant production delays and cost overruns, the article notes. The tank's high cost, estimated at $5 million to $7.1 million per unit, has limited its production and deployment. International sanctions and other production issues have also limited Russia's access to critical components needed to produce the T-14. These supply chain issues have further delayed the tank's deployment and raised questions about its long-term viability. For one reason or another, deliveries of the T-14 were constantly delayed. It is currently unknown how many working T-14s are currently in service with the Russian army, but it is estimated that only 10 to 12 tanks are in service, Isaac Seitz added. At the same time, the Observer recalled how on March 4, 2024, Rostec CEO Sergei Chemezov stated that the T-14 had entered service with the Russian army but would not participate in the fighting in Ukraine. While choosing cheaper options during active combat is somewhat understandable, the question arises, what is the point? Why invest in a tank that will not even participate in combat? I interpret his comments to mean that production has not reached the level where the T-14 can be produced in large enough quantities, the author emphasized. According to the Russians, these tanks have an unmanned turret, which increases the survivability of the crew. In addition, the tank is allegedly equipped with improved composite and reactive armor. It was also reported that the T-14 is enhanced with the Afghanit Active Protection System, designed to detect and neutralize incoming threats such as anti-tank guided missiles, ATGMs, and rocket-propelled grenades, RPGs. It was also claimed that the T-14 is equipped with a 1,500 horsepower diesel engine. The tank can supposedly reach speeds of up to 75 to 80 kilometers an hour and has a range of about 500 kilometers on one tank of fuel. Let us recall that earlier, the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine reported that Russia has produced only about 20 T-14 Armata tanks over the years.
Men of various ages and nationalities sit silently in their cells, a small window in the metal doors their only opening to the world. According to Associated Press, all are alleged members of the Islamic State group, captured during the final days of the extremists' so-called caliphate declared in large parts of Iraq and Syria. The Guiron prison, now called Panorama, has held about 4,500 IS-linked detainees for years. The Associated Press was given a rare visit to the prison, nearly 2 months after the fall of the 54-year Assad dynasty in Syria, an upheaval the detainees might not even know about as prison officials try to limit outside information. Syrian President Bashar Assad's ouster during a lightning insurgent offensive in December has led to new attention, and new pressures, on such detention centers in the country's northeast that have been holding some 9,000 IS members without trial. The centers are guarded by members of the U.S. backed and Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces that in March 2019 captured the last sliver of land that IS members once held, the eastern town of Baguz. SDF Chief Commander Maslam Abdi told the AP that after the fall of Assad, IS members captured large amounts of weapons in eastern Syria from posts abandoned by forces loyal to the former president. An SDF security official warned that the extremists might attack detention facilities and try to free their comrades. He spoke on condition of anonymity in line with regulations. The prison visit occurred in a corridor with 6 cells on each side and with masked guards holding clubs. A window in a cell door was opened, and the detainees were told they could speak briefly to journalists. A young man moved forward and identified himself as Mar, a nurse from Melbourne, Australia. Prison authorities asked that only first names be used. "I would love to go back to Australia," the man said, adding that he was not arrested in 2019 in Baguz but gave himself up when the US-led coalition opened a humanitarian corridor.
We would like to go back to our countries, where most of us, we've been here for a long time. I'm probably one of the least people here, 7 years. There's people who've been here for longer, and we're all tired. Well, I believe I'm innocent, but at the end of the day, I'm still waiting for someone to judge me or something to happen. I've been here without nothing, no.
But what happened here? This is only for 5 minutes. What were they doing there?
Of course, I'd love to go back to Australia. It's my home country.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't do anything to Australia. I didn't do anything to anyone. I've been here for now 7 years without a judgment, without anything. I came to help the people. I saw what Bashar al-Assad was doing to the people, throwing bomb mills and things. And in Australia, I was studying university, and I saw these things, and I thought I'd come, but I guess I came to the wrong place. I sit down and I just do nothing. I just sit in my place and waiting for something to happen. Every day we hope for our numbers to be called. That's all we do every day. Wait for our food. There are 3 meals. We pray. We just wait for one day our numbers to be called. I think we can go back to our normal life. We go back, I think,